guys, welcome back. So it is a hot day and I have been working in my garden, but I thought it's been a hot minute since I showed you what was going on here. So let's take a look around and see what's happening. The grapes are doing fantastic. This is our first season to have grapes and we are so excited. Interesting, my husband built this trellis right at the entry of our garden, and this side, the grapes are doing fantastic. It's a little bit more shaded. And on this side, while this one is full of fruit, it has all kinds of fruit, but it gets a lot more sun than the other side. So see how it's kind of pale yellow, but covered in fruit. But full sun, a little bit of shade, a lot darker green and bigger, but less fruit, more fruit. I have no idea why. So there is that. My flowers are starting to struggle because of the extreme heat, but it is hanging on. Then over here, I've just thrown all the different things in this raised bed. So we have Texas big boy peas in here, which is essentially a black-eyed pea. So you have to wait until these turn yellow. They're huge. I have a few yellow ones over there. I'm really excited about this. The raised beds, gosh, I just think they're the way to go. It's so much easier to grow things in them for some reason than in the garden. Marigold's still doing well. I have all the little things popping up, including some weeds that I'm out here and I need to pull. It's a relatively cool day considering here it's been over 100 for the past, oh my goodness, week. So today it's under 100. Radishes are there, and I have some here that they have been struggling in the heat, but they're popping up. They were planted late in the season. And then I have all the little cosmos popping up, the pretty purple cosmos. And we have some pretty pink cosmos and a little orange one down there. And we have all of the marigolds over here. Sunflowers popping up. I just put sunflowers everywhere because why not? My husband is going to come do some trimming out here for me today. I'm excited about that. And then those late season, I got the rhubarbs planted, and just this one has come up. I bought them on sale at Atwood's. If you caught that grocery haul, that one's come up. None of the others have, so we'll see, but maybe we'll get some rhubarb growing there. Then over here, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this. I put some cantaloupe seeds in the ground. Goodness, very late in July. So they have popped up and we're gonna see if they fruit or not. It does stay hot in Texas for a very long time, so we'll see. So here is some Texas big boys planted in the garden, and see how they're not as prolific as the ones in the raised bed. So that's interesting to note. I'm learning so much as we go. Have that. Even the okra has been struggling in this crazy Texas heat, but it is still plugging on. Peppers do not like the garden. I'm going to try something different next year. Peppers are perennials, so I'm going to try to dig them up and put them in a raised bed and see if they come back next year. I'll overwinter it to keep them warm through the winter. I have done so well with squash this year. So we have all of the butternut squash hanging everywhere. Butternut squash over there and down on the ground. Again, so many weeds, but I'm going to try to get out here today and fix that. Then over here, the seed packet said acorn squash. This is very obviously not acorn squash. This is spaghetti squash, but that is okay. We like spaghetti squash too. And it is all just hanging on the trellis that my husband built. And I have seen so many people struggling with different kinds of squash worms and all kinds of diseases. And I really think keeping them off the ground is the ticket, at least as much as you can. These are on the ground. I have some huge spaghetti squash down here, and I have one over there, the vine here. It's my oldest one, and it has finally died out for the season, which is just fine because it was one of the first ones I planted. And then back here, we have a pumpkin growing. Always excited about the pumpkins for fall, and that vine is doing really well. The peach trees are in a bit of a struggle, I think because of the crazy heat, so hopefully they just hang on. So there is all of the squashes. Then over here, we have one little watermelon thing that really hasn't done anything, And then these watermelons have been the strangest watermelons. They're just so odd shaped. There's that one, and then this one's growing here. I put a board under it. It needs, again, my husband's gonna come out here and edge today. I put a board under it because the ants were trying to burrow under it, and I didn't want that. But isn't that the most strange shape? I don't know. So there's that. Peppermint is still plugging on even in the extreme heat. I'm going to be harvesting most of that soon and see if it'll grow back a bit before the season ends. Then over here, my joy, the flowers with the big bumblebee. I absolutely love the flowers, and I have put all of the sunflowers everywhere, and I just enjoy it so much. Orange sunflowers popping up. Those are from seed saving from last year. So if you caught me seed saving and growing those sunflowers, that is those seeds, and they have done wonderful. Save all of your seeds. If you have something that has done well in your garden, save the seeds from it, because it obviously does well in your area and it's worth saving. I have more sunflowers popping up there. The chickens have come to help me with all of my weeds. They actually don't bother my garden at all. I don't mind them. They seem to eat all of the bad things. I'm hoping they're going after the grasshoppers I saw earlier, but they are just fine here. All right, guys, that's basically it for the garden right now. I do have the cow field full of pumpkins I'll share with you. I don't have a lot going on, but my squashes are doing great. The black-eyed peas are doing great. Some watermelons, some sunflowers, turnips, radishes, cosmos, oh, and the grapes. So we still have things going, and I am really enjoying laying up those squashes for the fall and winter. They're going to be so wonderful to have. But let's show you the cow field, and I'll show you what else we have going. You just missed the biggest fish jumping out of the pond. Let's sit here for a minute and see what we see. The pond just went down a bit with all this extreme heat. It's looking a little bit scummy, but the fish are still doing great. So here is what I'm lovingly referring to as the cow pumpkin field. You can see we have all the pumpkins growing. These were planted by our cows just from feeding them pumpkins. I have been watering it by hand though, and we have had this ridiculous heat lately. So my husband's gonna help me out with that today and help me get some water on these so that we don't lose them, because it's a lot to get out here and water all of this by hand. I'm trying to find some of the other pumpkins to show you. There's a few hiding in here. Kind of hard to see from the outside of the fence. I know there's one over here. This little plant's looking awfully dry. There's one down there. Yeah, we definitely need to get some water out here, but just fantastic how many are out here. Loving it. Here are some butternut squashes I'm harvesting today with that one lonely little acorn squash, since most of them turned out to be spaghetti squash, which is just fine. These will keep really well through the winter. Here's our Texas big boy peas, which is code for black-eyed peas. And I am just so excited. We have so many out there. Look how big that is. I'm curious how many peas we'll get out of this. Let's take a look. Okay, so this is gonna make a great big pot of peas because I have so many out there, and you don't pick them until they turn yellow. 5, 6, 7, 11, 12, 13 peas in this big long pod. So considering we have about 100 pods out there, surely we can get some food out of that. I'm very excited. I have a new sourdough starter. I'm very excited to use her. She is very active at the moment, busting at the seams, so active. Her name is Isabella, and she was born 3 years ago. So, sad story. My sourdough starter died. However, my expert friend told me that a sourdough starter never truly dies and you can always bring it back. So I got rid of my sourdough starter, and they are helping me start baking my sourdough bread again. So they gave me Isabella. And like I said, she's 3 years old, so she is just wonderful and healthy. And I'm so excited to get started with my brand new sourdough baking this coming fall and winter. So I'm gonna get started and go ahead and put her to good use. I'm peeling some of that butternut squash for dinner. It's such an easy thing to do with a potato peeler, and then I'll chop it up and I'll bake it in the oven on a sheet pan with a little bit of olive oil and sea salt, and it will be so good. So I'm gonna get that done. Meanwhile, in the entryway, there are very sweet things happening. He is such a good daddy.
I'd rather watch a movie and play a game. I'd rather read another book or play with my toys. I don't want to go to bed yet. But Mum and Dad say it's bedtime. They say if I don't get enough sleep, I'll be cranky. Mum said everybody needs to sleep. Grown-ups get to stay up longer, but they still have a regular bedtime. Kids need more sleep because we're growing all the time.
Bedtime stories are happening here. It was just a simple get things done kind of day. Hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend, and until next time, bye.